Hi, Saphira. Welcome to the show today. So glad to have you here. How are you?
I'm doing well, Jesse. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's so nice to have you here. We got to meet very briefly virtually after the Shelfie Awards, which was super fun. So it's fun to get to see you in person or, virtually again. And we had like a family get together this past weekend from when we're recording as a like early holiday meal, and Nowhere Bakery came up because which I mentioned in a previous episode, my sister-in-law is a huge fan and actually introduced me to your brand originally. So yeah, we had a whole conversation about how much we love Nowhere Bakery, which was really fun.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that.
um yeah, so I have been trying all the products. You sent us a wonderful sampler box that is all now gone. And we had some household arguments over who got the rest of everything. I think all the cookies were like our favorite, like the chocolate chip cookie and the double chocolate chip cookie, but like, they're all incredible. So yeah, would love if you could just tell us a little bit about your founding story and how you got started.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how far you want to go back, but to give you a bit of context, I, in my early 20s, I developed really bad gut issues, which means that I had to eliminate a lot of different kinds of things from my diet, including gluten, dairy, refined sugars, soy, like all the fun stuff that's in dessert. But I've always had like a huge sweet tooth. So I got to the kitchen and I just started making a lot of desserts that my gut could tolerate, got really creative, looked online, did a lot of research about like vegan recipes, grain-free recipes, and just started creating things. And from there, I got really passionate about just making healthy desserts. And so I started like a food blog. And this was probably 10 years ago now. And so, as you do, make an Instagram page, started sharing recipes on there, got really into it, and formed a career out of that. I started doing food blogging, recipe development for companies, and then it turned into catering as well. When I was doing catering jobs in LA, I met one of my husband's friends who was a food delivery company owner. He did a paleo food delivery company. And he saw my desserts and he was like, yo, can you come and do desserts for my company? Like, we don't do desserts, but our customers want them. Can you like just come in and like make some stuff in our kitchen? And it took me about a year to come around because I just wasn't really like ready to get into like that kind of the business. And so the start of 2020, I was in a bit of a lull with my career. And so I reached out to him and I said, do you still want us to, or me, to create these desserts for you? He's like, yeah, come and buy, bring over like 10 or so samples and we can do like a taste test and we can like decide on a menu. So I created a bunch of recipes, went down to the kitchen in Costa Mesa. I was in LA at the time. So I drove down there, I met with him. He tasted all of the different types of desserts that I brought in. And he was like, dude, like these are way too good for me to take credit for them. Like, you need to create a business on your own. And I was like, I don't even know the first thing about how to do this. Like, I don't have a kitchen. Like, I'm new to America, so the whole business side of like setting everything up was a little bit foreign to me as well. And he said, look, like if you come into my kitchen, you can just use a small corner while my guys are working, start from ground zero and just see how you go. And so that was right before the pandemic started. And so I think it was almost good timing because people were all at home on their phones. They didn't want to leave the house. I was making these cookies for my friend's company. I made an Instagram page. I started sharing on Instagram, and people were like, where can I get these? Can you deliver them to me? And I was like, yes, 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 yes. So it started out with me making them myself. hand delivering around LA, Orange County, wherever anyone needed it. And then that kind of turned into someone asking, hey, can you like ship these to me across the country? And I was like, sure, why not? So I started doing that as well. And within about, I'd say 3 months, I was just inundated and over my head for what I could handle. I ended up waking up for about a year. I was getting up at 2 a.m. to drive down to Orange County, which is about an hour drive, to make everything in this one day. I'd bake it, I'd pack it, I'd ship it, I'd hand deliver it, drive home, sleep, eat, repeat. And yeah, that was essentially how everything started. And then my husband saw just how exhausted I was these few months, and he was like, can I come and help you? And so he essentially came on what was initially going to be just for him to like come and give like a hand here and there. He now co-runs the business with me, and he heads up like the wholesale and marketing side of things.
Wow. That's incredible. That's so cool. And so do you still like where do you make the products now, and do you have help with the baking?
What's funny is we're actually still in the same facility. So it started out with me in the corner, and then it moved to, okay, we're going to do one full day in the kitchen, because he was only operating in that space 4 days a week, but it was his space. And so we went from 1 day to 2 days as orders grew, 2 days to 3 days as orders grew. And then his company actually went under in May of this year. So we ended up taking over the lease. And so we're in that same space now full time in Costa Mesa. And I'd say we have about 6 staff members right now, but I've just come from the kitchen. Like I'm still there. I'm still looking over everything. I still touch everything. Maurizio's there. He's packing up all the orders, doing all the wholesale stuff. So we're very much hands-on.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. And can you tell us about some of your like fun collaborations that you've done as well? I've seen your like hype drops of your products. I love seeing those.
Yeah, I mean, we've done some amazing collaborations with a bunch of different food bloggers. I think what having my background has been really helpful, because I've got that community already of food bloggers that I already know. So it started out with me asking a friend if she wanted to do a collaboration, and this was nearly 2 years ago. And that went so well that we've decided to kind of do like an ongoing thing where we'll partner with a different influencer, make like a fun recipe with them, and just release it for like a short amount of time. Our most recent one is actually with Gwyneth Paltrow. So that released about 2 weeks ago, and it's a holiday sampler. And so, yeah, we essentially worked with her to make 3 holiday flavored cookies, and we're offering them to Christmas.
Wow, that's amazing. That's like to go from food bloggers that you know to Gwyneth Paltrow. That's a lot. Like, did you like have a connection, or just over time did you get the recognition of you've worked with like Rachel's Good Eats and like all these incredible people? Like, it just kind of grow to like to these celebrity level.
Yeah, it was a interesting chain of events that led to this. Essentially, we had done a collaboration with Ariel Laurie, and she had been working out with the same trainer that Gwyneth Paltrow was working out with. And so when we did the collaboration with her, she was like, I'd love to gift her a box of these cookies. So I made the box, I couriered it to her trainer, and a trainer gave it to Gwyneth. And we heard nothing from it. Months went by, not a word. And then one day I get a text from Gwyneth Paltrow, and she's like, hi, I hope you don't mind. I got your number from my trainer. I loved those cookies that you gave me. Like, can I order some more? And so that was kind of like how it started. And then I suggested to her a few months ago, I was like, hey, would you love to do a collaboration? And she was like, yeah, I'd love to. Like, any way I can support you guys. So yeah, that's
Wow.
essentially how it happened.
That's amazing, getting a text from Gwyneth Paltrow saying that, she loved your cookies. Oh my goodness.
It was so surreal.
Yeah. Um, I'm also curious, like, because you made, made the cookie making the cookies and catering and delivering them locally, and then you started shipping, was it tough to figure out any of the packaging or, like, how to make it last a couple days to go through the mail? Was that difficult? Has that been difficult?
Yeah, a lot of this has been honestly just trial and error. And I think it was probably a good thing that we offered it so early on because we didn't have a huge customer base. So we had initially sent our cookies via USPS, figured out that they're not so reliable. So along the way, we've just like slowly improved our process more and more to offer, very express shipments so that people can get their product quickly. And especially during the summer, we make sure we send with ice and liners and yeah, anything we can do to make sure that the customer gets their items fresh and not melted, because we don't use any, preservatives, and we use real chocolate. Our products are very prone to melting. Um, so yeah, it's been a journey.
I love the packaging and everything that you have though, getting your fun pink box in the mail and the little, the cookie packaging is pink too. Like the branding and everything, it's all very like fun and inviting and exciting to receive in the mail. So I love how you've set that up.
Thank you. Yeah, I think when I initially created it, I mean it was like a no-brainer of to what the color would be and what the logo would be, and it kind of just all worked. We've somewhat adjusted our materials, but the design itself has always stayed the same. And I think what a lot of food brands don't really do is like think about the aesthetics of everything. And, we are not just a cookie company, a dessert company, but like more of like a fashion company as well. We like everything to look really aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And when did you find Startup CPG and then yeah, curious about when that happened.
Yeah, so when we were living in LA, I would drive down at sometimes 3 times a week. So I had a lot of driving time. And so I would listen to a lot of these um, business podcasts on my drives. And even when I'm in the kitchen, especially early in the morning on my own, I'd have my earbuds in and I'd just listen to different business podcasts. And so I found Startup CPG Podcast when I was looking through iTunes, and yeah, I found out about the Slack channel through there, and it's just been such a great community to get involved with and learn so much about the industry.
That's amazing. I love that you found us through the podcast and are now on the podcast. Like that's so cool. It's so awesome to have you here, especially after you found us like that. That's amazing.
So yeah, it's a true blessing.
I'm also curious if you can tell us the story of the name Nowhere, because I love hearing the story of how you came up with that name with your husband and your different dietary journeys.
Yes, so going back to the fact that I had a lot of gut issues, I obviously couldn't eat a lot of things that were quote unquote enjoyable to most people. And my husband also has a big sweet tooth and could eat what he likes to say is a razor blade. He has he has like the stomach of, like a rock. And so we would often butt heads when it came to dessert time because he didn't like these desserts that were quote unquote healthy because they tasted healthy, like the
Mhm.
texture wasn't there, the taste wasn't there, tasted like coconut or dates or whatever it was. And so a treat that satisfied both of our needs was nowhere to be found, and that's why we created that. That's
Yeah.
essentially how it all came to mold together.
Yeah, I love that and relate to that in our house of I'm the person with less restrictions and my husband has celiac disease and a lot of times we'll run into of like, "Oh, well this is something we can both have, but it tastes healthy or it doesn't or it feels like you're compromising." And so being able to eat something that like when we ate one of the chocolate chip cookies the other day, it was like we're not compromising on anything. We're just eating an incredible chocolate chip cookie, but we can both have it. And it's very exciting. So I love that.
Exactly. And that's like a lot of the feedback we get from our customers is that, like a female customer will go buy the product, but then she'll tell us that like she doesn't tell her partner that it's healthy or that it's gluten free, that it's vegan, because she doesn't want him to like, turn away from it. And he'll
Mm-hmm.
end up loving it just as much as she does.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Well, what else is like coming out up that we should keep an eye out for? Like anything that, that's coming up either like from a marketing perspective or just from a business perspective that you're excited about for next year or we can stay tuned on?
Yeah, we're really working on building out our shelf stable line. So we do have a chocolate chip baking mix, which is based off of our best selling chocolate chip cookie. But we're also working on things like a cake mix. We use a paleo baking powder in house that we make.
Mm.
And there's not really anything on the market like that. So I think that's a big opportunity for us as well. So just kind of like working on bake at home products.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's super exciting. So yeah, everybody listening can go to nowhere, the word nowhere bakery.com. You can follow Nowhere Bakery on Instagram and then definitely like, at your own risk because you're going to be super hungry and want to order all the cookies possible, which, I think is a great decision. So I'm an enabler here. But yeah, I think we should all go and check it out. And I can't wait to keep following you along and see how you continue to grow and just love the treats and helping people eat delicious things. I love what you're doing in the world. So super glad for you. And we're going to keep cheering you on at Startup CPG.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Well, thanks for being on the show today and definitely look forward to staying in touch.
Thank you, Jesse.